first speaker to kind of get things going, Craig Reines. If you didn't know, there was a big company called Sitel, or is a big company called Sitel, and Craig ran that organization for years. This was his second posting in the country, and I think it had close to 25,000 people during that time. So this was a very large employer of Filipinos across the nation. Craig was a big proponent, and still is, of, I think Craig called it, what was it, countrywide development, or is it province, moving the jobs to where there's people who need employment in the provinces and so forth, and he was really a leader in that. That was Craig's second posting in the country. Previously, he ran Teletech, established that, off to a very good start. Now a major employer. And we'll have another speaker who ran that organization as well. So, yeah, Craig has a storied kind of a history in the country for contribution and really driving the nation. Winner of the Expatriate Executive of the Year Award. Only a few people have gotten that, and Craig is one of them. So, yeah. So with an interesting story, an interesting guy. I know he was working last night, got home at 3 a.m. or something, or got here, and said, I need to sleep. Can I have a room? So anyway, so he slept for a few hours and was able to get up. So, but he looks lively as usual. So please welcome Craig Reines. His formal title is, VP Customer Technology Transformation for DirecTV, which he'll tell you about, I'm sure. Nice to see you, Craig, looking good.
Goodness. Richard, thank you for the kind words. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a collector. I collect many things, awards. Thank you again for the award. Degrees, and you may not know this about me, but I was mentioning it to a few of the employees that we're working with here in Clark in SM City last night, because they were very interested to hear about all the things that I've learned in the Philippines and the many things that I've collected and have brought back. And I had gone through some of my files just before coming out to the Philippines. This is my first time back in 2.5 years since the beginning of the pandemic. Again, you may not know this about me, but I have acquired a degree in mathematics from LaSalle in Manila, and I also have acquired a degree. It's a doctorate in business administration from Ateneo. I don't know if you knew that about me. Yeah. I got them at Recto. That didn't land as good as it did last night with the call center agents. Well, look, I am so excited to be here. It's always fun to come and talk about the experience and my observations on what I think may be some key differentiators for the Philippines and for the Philippines market, where we're looking. Now I'm on the client side, whereas before I was on the partner side. But where we're looking to spend our investment dollars in markets around the world, and the Philippines is a big part of our sales and service environment. So the company I work for is called DirecTV, and DirecTV is still a major part of the AT&T, the global AT&T group. AT&T about 6 years ago acquired our business. They also acquired the Warner Media properties, so CNN, HBO, a lot of the big content providers in the entertainment industry. And last year, AT&T decided to spin off DirecTV. We have a satellite and streaming, internet streaming product. It's It's all live TV, very similar to Sky or Signal in the Philippines. And we also are one of our partner companies, Warner Media, also spun off and was sold to Discovery, and so there's now a new large entertainment group, one of the largest in the world. And as part of that separation, we're under what's called a technical service agreement. So all of our shared services and a lot of things like our IT help desk and our HR services and procurement services, quality assurance and workforce management, all of these things are still being supported through AT&T under these special agreements. And as the companies are separating, we have to make a decision around how we're going to bring these services back in-house. And in some of our executive committee meetings, we talked about different options, and one of the first people who spoke up and said, "Well, gosh, I know a thing or two about the Philippines. There's lots of shared services and contact center support here, so why don't we take a look at the environment here?" We have about 12,000 employees with our BPO partners around the country. So we have experience, we have access to business partners like PLDT and large companies like Sitel and Concentrix and Sutherland and Teleperformance and VXI and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the context of why I'm here. And my job is the transformation of all the technology, the customer interaction technology. When you call when you call DirecTV, the first thing you speak with is an interactive voice response, which everybody has had experience with that. And then there's routing technology to get the call from the network to the contact center or to an automated assistant, et cetera. So we realized that as part of our separation from AT&T, and as we started looking at all of our processes, the technology environment is extremely complex. Very, very complex. And we make it very difficult for employees to successfully do their job. So my team's job, it's a new organization based on my experience in the contact center industry, working in markets like the Philippines, and interacting with our frontline employees, is to identify the capabilities, those pain points that they have, and try to simplify that with these interaction technologies to improve the overall interaction experience. So this is actually a lot of fun for me because my customer is actually the contact center agent. It's not the end consumer of our products. So I get to go out and have dinners with and hang out with the contact center employees and ask them questions about what are the things that I can do to help make your job easier. And so they love me. It's great. And it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun experience. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of context around who I am and what I'm doing here. What's become really obvious, however, is that the pandemic has created a number of new pain points for employees that are not necessarily just technology related. They're process related and they're organizational related. So with the current configuration, in some parts of the Philippines, we still have about 60 to 70% of the contact center employees working from home. Now, what is preventing them from being able to successfully do their job? Well, there's lots of things now. The physical setup of their home may not necessarily be conducive to do this kind of work. The equipment is potentially not the best equipment. In many cases, when the pandemic first hit, and I know many of you here had the same problem in whatever industry you're in, whatever job you have. If you didn't have a laptop, or maybe you had a laptop, but it wasn't a powerful laptop that allowed you to do all the things that you needed to do, maybe you didn't have a headset, maybe you didn't have a video camera, with that laptop. So the equipment that you had at the office, you had to basically pick up and ship it to your home. Now imagine in an industry where we have 1.4 million people, that was not an easy task. And in some cases, it took many weeks to actually get equipment to employees. And now, 2.5 years later, I think for the most part, things have been worked out, but that's still a bit of a challenge when you're a brand new employee and you're just starting off in the industry. How do you get the right kind of equipment? You may not have that at home, and so you still have to coordinate the logistics of having all this equipment and consistently supported. There's lots of different potential configurations, lots of different reasons why things could potentially go wrong. So it just creates a whole nother dynamic for employees here in the Philippines. The broadband into people's homes is also a challenge, and continues to be a challenge depending on where you are in the country. The shift, the shift may have worked really well when you were going into the office because you may have had support to watch your children or to support your loved ones when you weren't in the office. And now, if you're working at home, you may have to rethink that whole support network. So many different challenges. I think when I look at it, and we have been trying to really prioritize what we can do to make the employee experience better in the Philippines when we live and our customers live a half a world away. It is around this concept of we can't continue to assume that the employee is going to work in a brick and mortar facility. It has to be more of a work from anywhere model. And a work from anywhere model means the way you recruit people, the way you train them, the way you support them in their daily lives, the physical space that they live in, the organizational structure, support structure, how you manage, how the people are managed, how they fit within the corporate hierarchy. All these things really have to be rethought of. And so the challenge that I'm talking about with my colleagues here in the Philippines, and I want to challenge you, is to take this as an opportunity, because the Philippines is not the only place that has this issue. We have this in the US, and this is a problem all over the world. This really still has not been completely figured out. So the Philippines can once again become a real leader in how to deliver a true work from anywhere model that can really enhance the employee experience and at the end enhance the customer experience. And I think that will be a lot more attractive. So while I know that some of the developers may not want to hear this, I'm not really interested in working with partners that want to sell me several thousand seats of physical brick and mortar capacity, because I don't think that's the model anymore. And I still, and as Richard very nicely shared, I'm a huge proponent of countryside development. And this was one of the challenges when you had the model of having a big brick and mortar infrastructure. you couldn't necessarily go to many places in the Philippines because you couldn't keep those facilities filled. Well, now, if you have a work from anywhere model where you have a smaller physical footprint, but your model is to hire people in a work from anywhere mode, so they don't necessarily have to be physically co-located in the same place as your brick and mortar office. This opens up all kinds of possibilities, including things, I know it may sound silly, but even hiring work from home employees that live in Boracay, and have the opportunity to have a completely different lifestyle that fits them. So that's the challenge and I think the Philippines is the creativity here, the innovation here. This is really the time for the Philippines to step up and think a little bit differently. And June, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about let's start thinking about building little work hubs in people's homes and in their condos, because that's going to be the future. And if we do it first, this could be a model that's replicated all over the world. So with that, Richard, I hope that was okay. Thank you very much.